Since we are so new too, we're trying to we don't even know fully what to discuss yet because we're just kind of
because like right now we're still just trying to grind out ideas for the modules and basically not overproduce too much content, but get like a really solid foundation to where when we do launch, people.
So I'm gonna give you a framework. Okay, you might want to write this down. I'm gonna give you a framework of how to conduct a meeting when you actually shouldn't know what to discuss going into a meeting. I don't think that's really true. So here's how a meeting functions. Just write down ABCDE. And for anybody listening, even if you don't have a team or you don't have a partner or you don't have a spouse that's working with you, you can totally meet with yourself. And if you follow this framework, you can figure out what you really need to work on. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So A stands for agenda. A stands for agenda. The first thing you got to do is figure out what you got to talk about. Right. So it's like that question of, what should we be talking about? What should we work on this week? Like, what are all the things that we could do? So it's just like, you take a few minutes to just dump it all on paper. Greatness flows through your lips and your fingertips, right? So you got to write it down. Like, what are all the things we could work on? And then it's like, well, you'll start seeing when you do this every week, well, we can't do that thing until this thing gets done. And we can't do this one until this thing gets done. And all of a sudden, the thing that should go next emerges from setting the agenda at the meeting, right? Like we had a meeting last 2 days, my team, I brought them into my hometown and we've been meeting to plan. We do this program called the 12-Week Year. It's a great book by Brian Moran. And so we meet for, once every 3 months, and then we do a 3-month plan for 12 weeks. But we don't know what's going to be on that agenda every time because it opens and closes in 12 weeks, right? So we spend a lot of the day like, what should we do? What should we work on? What's the agenda for the next 12 weeks? Okay. All right. Once you see the things that emerge, you all kind of talk about them. If you disagree with them, that's okay. Conflict is good. There's two of you work on two things. Two things could emerge. Cool. Right. The next one is B is for battle plans. Okay. So this is like if that's the thing that's on number one on the agenda, how do we do it? Like, what does it look like? Like what, maybe you're meeting on a Sunday afternoon, you found your 2-hour window, only talk about business during that 2 hours. What's the agenda this week? Well, we got the microphone hooked up last week because that guy from Kentucky made us talk to him. So we got the microphone hooked up, right? Maybe we should record our first course. Or maybe it's one of you says, well, what about our first podcast? And then you're like, okay, cool. Well, let's look at the calendar and make a battle plan and see how much time we have to actually do those things. You may look at it and go, wow, we could record the first course and the first podcast this week. See what's happening? Like these things are starting to. So then we battle plan it out. Like, okay, cool. We're going to record the podcast. We're going to record the thing. We're going to decide on it. All right. All right. The next thing is calls to action and calendar. Nothing gets done unless it ends up on a calendar. To-do lists are dumb. To-do lists are basically rough drafts of your calendar. That's what they are.
And anytime I ask her when she has to work, she screenshots her calendar on her phone, just sends it to me.
Exactly. You should both share a Google Calendar. Me and Josh, listen, my whole team has access to my calendar. Okay. Because everyone has to know what everyone's doing, even on their personal life on my team. I'm not trying to pry in anybody's business, but like if there's things going on, we need to know about it, right? Especially my calendar, right? Me and Jocelyn share a calendar. Isaac has a calendar that has me and Jocelyn's schedule, my kids, so they can see what we're doing at a glance. All right. So calls to action on the calendar. That's what C stands for. And you decide, you completely both commit to going there. There's a great book, a great author named Patrick Lencioni. He talks about teams, and he talks about having commitment, not consensus. And I think in marriage, we all know what this means. Like we don't have to agree on it, but we now know that this has to be done, and we can commit to getting it done on these dates.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the next thing we do, ABCD, is delegate. Who does what? Who does what? So you delegate like, okay, well, I'm going to be coming home from work at 9 a.m. So it's your job to get the podcast space ready and have me a coffee ready to go for the event. And then I'm going to sit down and we're going to talk, and we have a script that we're already outlined, right? So I'll make the outline during my lunch break at the nursing thing, right? So I'll do the outline. So it's delegating who does what to make sure the thing on the calendar gets done, because that's our battle plan based on our agenda. We're working there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, and then E is engage. We have to do the thing, right? You can plan it, you can battle plan it, you can put it on the calendar, you can delegate it, but you got to execute, you got to engage, right? And that's going to require teamwork. So ABCDE. That's how we conduct. That's how I conduct all my meetings. I usually go into the meetings not knowing exactly what's going to happen. Like we know what's going to happen in the next 12 weeks. We know the calendar. We can't we've got everything calendared, but each week we'll check in and we'll follow up with it. Right.
Yeah.
So good solid meeting. ABCDE. Everything's getting done.